Good morning, everyone. So here I am with the next video for the revision of the nervous system. In this video, we'll be going through the brain, its various regions, as well as the different functions of the various parts of the brain. So let us start with the human brain first. As far as the location of the human brain is concerned, it is located within the skull, well protected by the entire skull, especially the cranium that forms the roof of the skull. As far as the human brain is concerned, apart from being protected by the skull, it is also being protected by three coverings called as the meninges. I repeat, the three coverings that protect the brain are called as the meninges. The outermost meninx is basically called as the dura mater. I repeat, the outermost meninx is called as the dura mater. The word dura means tough, okay, because it's a hard covering, and that is why it is called as the dura mater. Beneath the dura mater is present the arachnoid matter. I repeat, beneath the dura mater is present the arachnoid matter. The word arachnoid comes from the word arachnid, which means having a web-like appearance. So because of a web-like appearance and this meninx being a very highly vascularized meninx, that is why it is called as the arachnoid matter, especially due to its web-like appearance. And beneath the arachnoid matter is the pia matter. The word pia means tender or soft. So it is like a mother. The mother is very hard from outside, very tough from outside, and from within she is very soft. So like that, you have these three meninges. Actually, the word matter means mother. So dura mater, arachnoid matter, and the pia matter are the three meninges. As far as the dura mater is concerned, the space between these meninges, not the dura mater, the space between the meninges is filled with the cerebrospinal fluid, the CSF. The cerebrospinal fluid basically acts as a shock absorber. It also provides protection to the brain. It acts like a cushion. It maintains an equal pressure from all the sides on the brain. It prevents desiccation of the organ. Desiccation means drying up. And it also serves for the exchange of nutrients and waste materials, okay, with the nervous tissue. So these are the functions of the CSF. It acts like a cushion, protects the brain from any jerks or mechanical injuries, maintains an even pressure from all the sides, okay, and it also serves for the exchange of nutrients and waste material. Okay, so that's the function of the cerebrospinal fluid, which is present between the meninges. The space between the meninges is filled with the cerebrospinal fluid. Now coming to the human brain. Now, as far as the human brain is concerned, it is also called as the encephalon. Okay, that's the biological term or the biological name of the human brain. That is the encephalon. It weighs about 1.35 kgs in an adult and roughly constitutes about 2% of the adult body weight. Now, it is nearly made of 80% water and consumes about 25% of the total oxygen absorbed by your lungs. Now, as far as the brain is concerned, the human brain has three visible regions. I repeat, the human brain has three visible regions. Okay, so if I just isolate the brain here, you can see there are three visible regions. The cerebrum. Beneath the cerebrum, we have the cerebellum, where my mouse pointer is currently. And then you have the medulla oblongata. So the three visible regions of the brain include the cerebrum, that is the largest portion of the brain. Then you have the cerebellum, the second largest part, and the part of the brain stem that is called as the medulla oblongata. As you can see, the cerebrum is the largest part of the human brain, covering about 85% of the total area. It is divided into two equal halves. The two equal halves of the cerebrum are called as the cerebral hemispheres. As you can see, each cerebral hemisphere is highly folded. It shows ridges and grooves. Now, the outer region of the cerebrum appears gray, and that is why it is called as the gray matter. And the reason that it appears gray is because of the presence of the cell body or the cytons. So the cytons or the cell bodies of the neuron lie within the outer region, and hence it is called as the gray matter. The inner region will appear white due to the presence of the axons, which are covered by myelin sheath. So the myelinated neurons give the inner region of the cerebrum a white colored appearance, and hence it is called as the white matter. Now the foldings are basically called as the gyri, and the grooves are called as the sulci. Gyrus is singular and sulcus is singular. The plural form of gyrus and sulcus is gyri and sulci. So the folds are called as the gyri, and the grooves are called as the sulci. Now these foldings, that is the gyri and the sulci, they help in increasing the surface area of the cerebrum, thus allowing to accommodate more amount of neurons. So the number of folds helps in increasing the surface area. So greater the surface area, or more the number of gyri and sulci, more is the number of neurons that can be accommodated within the cerebrum. And therefore, that is attributed to the intelligence of a person. Okay, so the increase in the surface area allows more number of neurons to be accommodated, and hence it is attributed to the intelligence of a person. So this is about the overview of the cerebrum. Now, as far as the two cerebral hemispheres are concerned, they are interconnected with each other. The two cerebral hemispheres are interconnected with each other by a structure that is called as the corpus callosum. I repeat, the corpus callosum is basically a sheet of fibers that is responsible for connecting the two cerebral hemispheres. So if I just hide one cerebral hemisphere, let us try and view the corpus callosum. So what you see here right now highlighted in green is the corpus callosum. It is a sheet of nerve fibers that basically helps in connecting the two cerebral hemispheres. So the two cerebral hemispheres communicate with each other, that is, they exchange their information via the fibers present in the corpus callosum. So corpus callosum is basically a sheet of fibers. If I just isolate the corpus callosum, it looks somewhat like this. This is one half of the corpus callosum. So it is made up of a sheet of fibers that interconnects the two cerebral hemispheres and helps in exchanging the information between the two. So this is about the corpus callosum. Now, as far as the cerebrum is concerned, the cerebrum is the seat for intelligence, reasoning, thinking, memorizing. What we call as the unconscious mind or the unconscious part of the brain is also a part of the cerebrum. Now, how is it a part of the cerebrum? Now, whatever we learn in our recent times is all present superficially in the upper layers, and the experiences of the past are buried down under. So that is a part of your unconscious or the subconscious mind. So it is just like, for example, the recent memory will be at the top and the past memory or the experiences will be buried underneath the recent experiences. So when it's very skillfully triggered, as in when you are being hypnotized, for example, so anyone who is very skillful in hypnotizing can actually trigger the subconscious or the unconscious mind and can extract the information that is stored in the subconscious mind. That is, they can extract the past experiences. So this is about the functions of the cerebrum. I repeat the functions. It is the seat for intelligence, memory, reasoning, thinking. It controls all your voluntary actions. And it is also the site where all your past experiences are stored in the unconscious or the subconscious mind. Now we move on to the next part of the human brain, the next visible part rather, that is called as the cerebellum. Now let us have a look at the cerebellum, which is the second largest part of the brain. The cerebellum is located right beneath the cerebrum, and it is the second largest part. Just like the cerebellum also shows the outer gray matter and the inner white matter. Now, if I just take a section of the cerebellum, you can see here a tree-like branching. This tree-like branching is called as the arbor vitae. Okay, arbor vitae. Arbor means tree. So here it refers to the extension of the white matter into the gray matter, and it branches like a tree, and that is why the name, the arbor vitae. Now, as far as the cerebellum is concerned, it is also divided into two equal halves. That is the right cerebellar hemisphere and the left cerebellar hemisphere. Okay. Now, as far as the cerebellum is concerned, it is the part of the brain that is responsible for controlling all your muscular actions. It coordinates between the voluntary muscles. So it is like an orchestrator that kind of regulates the controlling or controls the working of the skeletal muscles or the voluntary muscles. So like for example, when you are walking, it is not only the muscles of your lower limbs that are involved in that action. Okay, you also swing your hands slightly. Your other body muscles are also responding to the movement. So the coordination between various muscles involved in a particular movement is under the regulation of the cerebellum. So cerebellum gets suppressed by alcohol, and that is why an alcoholic walks clumsily. It is because of the suppression of the cerebellum. So the function of the cerebellum, I repeat again, is to coordinate between the movement of various skeletal muscles or the voluntary muscles. So the next visible part of the brain is the medulla oblongata. What you can see highlighted here in green is the medulla oblongata. It's a part of the brain stem and it continues downwards as the spinal cord. So you can see here it continues downward as the spinal cord basically. Now, as far as the medulla oblongata is concerned, it is the seat for controlling all your involuntary actions, including heartbeat, breathing rate, peristalsis. So because it controls such vital involuntary actions, therefore, any injury to the medulla oblongata can prove to be fatal. So that's the location of the medulla oblongata. It's the part of the brain stem located below the pons varoli. So these are the three visible parts of the brain: the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the medulla oblongata. Now the actual divisions of the brain are the forebrain, the midbrain, and the hindbrain. I repeat, the actual divisions of the brain are the forebrain, the midbrain, and the hindbrain. So I'll just write down the actual divisions of the brain and the very various parts that come under them. Now, as far as the forebrain is concerned, give me a minute. I'll just write it down. Yes. So the three main divisions of the brain include the forebrain, the midbrain, and the hindbrain. The three parts under the forebrain are the olfactory lobes, which are the center for the sense of smell. Then you have the cerebrum, which we've already discussed in detail, and the diencephalon. The diencephalon further consists of two more parts. It is consisting of the thalamus and the hypothalamus. Now, as far as the thalamus is concerned, it basically acts as the relay center. I repeat, the thalamus acts as the relay center for the pain and pressure impulses to the cerebrum. I repeat, it acts as the relay center for the pain and pressure impulses to the cerebrum. The hypothalamus acts as the thermostat of the body. Thermostat means the temperature regulator. It regulates your body temperature, and that is why it is called as the thermostat. Apart from that, the hypothalamus is also said to control the functioning of the pituitary gland. So the hypothalamus has two functions. One is to act as the thermostat of the body, and secondly, to control the functioning of the pituitary gland. So these are the functions of the diencephalon. I will of course show you the diencephalon in a while from now. Coming to the midbrain is a small tubular region consisting of two parts, the crura cerebri and the corpora quadrigemina. These parts, these names are not there in class 10 level. The function of the midbrain is to control the reflexes related to the eyes and the ear. So, like for example, when you are playing cricket and you see the bowler ball a bouncer to the batsman will duck underneath or he'll play a particular kind of a shot. So those are like reflexes related to the eyes. And when you're walking down the road and someone calls out your name from behind, immediately you will turn behind to look at who is calling out to you. So that response that you give on hearing your name, on listening your name being called out, is due to the functioning of the midbrain. Okay, so the midbrain controls the reflexes related to your eyes and the ear. Now coming to the hindbrain, the cerebellum, we've already discussed that it is the controller of all the voluntary muscles. Now remember one thing, although it controls the activities of voluntary muscles, but the impulse for the contraction of the voluntary muscles is generated from the cerebrum. So the cerebrum commands the voluntary muscles to contract, and the coordination between various voluntary muscles to bring about a movement is done by the cerebellum. Now, as far as pons varoli is concerned, it helps in exchanging the impulse or transferring the impulse from the right cerebellar hemisphere to the left cerebellar hemisphere. Okay, so it basically just what function the corpus callosum plays, the similar function is carried out by the pons varoli, but it transmits the impulses between the right and the left hemispheres of the cerebellum, and it also controls the movement of the muscles on both the sides of the body. Now, the medulla oblongata, already mentioned to you, it is the part of the brain stem, the terminal most part, and it controls all the involuntary actions, including the heart rate, the breathing rate, peristalsis, and activities of all your internal organs. And hence, any injury to the medulla can prove to be fatal. So these are the three actual divisions of the brain: the forebrain, the midbrain, and the hindbrain. Now let us have a look at some of these parts. I'll just highlight those parts in a while. So what you see highlighted in green here in the faded section of the brain is the thalamus. Thalamus is one of the parts of the diencephalon. So what you can see here is the thalamus. I will now try and highlight the entire diencephalon to you all. So here you can see the entire diencephalon. And the region where I'm just trying to maximize in here, where my mouse pointer is, that is the hypothalamus. I would, of course, be isolating the hypothalamus also for you all for a better view. As you all can see here, this is the thalamus. And now I'll highlight or select the hypothalamus for you all. So this is, wait, yeah, that's the hypothalamus. Here we can see the hypothalamus, and this is the infundibulum, the stalk from which the pituitary gland is suspended. So here is the pituitary gland, and this is the entire thalamus here. Okay, so I hope the entire diencephalon is quite evident to you all. This is the thalamus. Then you have the hypothalamus below it. Hypo means below. And then you have the infundibulum or the stalk, from which the pituitary gland lies suspended. Okay, so this is the diencephalon. Now let us try and view the pons varoli. So what you can see here, highlighted in green, is the pons varoli. Okay, so the pons helps in exchanging the information or the impulses between the right and the left cerebellar hemispheres, and from below the pons begins the medulla oblongata, which is the terminal most part of the brain stem. Now, let us have a look at a part of the midbrain as well. What you can see here, highlighted in green, is the part of the midbrain. It's a very small and a tubular portion, which basically controls the reflexes related to the eyes and the ear. I hope you can clearly see the region of the midbrain here. Okay, it lies just above the pons. So I'll just zoom in. That's the midbrain. So this was about the structure of the brain, the various parts of the brain in detail. Now let us shift our focus to the spinal cord. Fine. So now let us shift our focus to the spinal cord. As you can see here, the spinal cord has been highlighted in green. It begins from it is the continuity of the brainstem, actually, the continuity of the medulla oblongata. In fact, the arrangement of the white and the gray matter in the medulla oblongata is the reverse to what you find in the cerebrum and cerebellum, meaning the white matter is outside and the gray matter is inside. And the same is the arrangement even in the spinal cord, that the white matter lies outside and the gray matter will lie inside. Now, as far as the spinal cord is concerned, it runs all along the length of your backbone to terminate at the second lumbar vertebrae. I repeat, the spinal cord will terminate at the second lumbar vertebrae. Now, as far as the spinal cord is concerned, it is well protected by the vertebral column. It is also protected by the same three meninges, that is the outer dura mater, the middle arachnoid matter, and the innermost pia mater, with the cerebrospinal fluid present in between the space of the meninges. Now, the CSF is not only found around the meninges, but it is also found within the cavities of the brain called as the ventricle, and also the space within the spinal cord called as the central canal. Okay, the central canal of the spinal cord is in continuity with the cavities or the ventricles of the brain. So the CSF is present in the spaces between the meninges, that is on the outside, as well as inside, that is within the cavities or the ventricles of the brain and the central canal of the spinal cord. Now, let me just hide the entire vertebral column for you all so that we can clearly see the spinal cord. Yes, here we see the spinal cord. Now, as far as the spinal cord is concerned, the outer region is the white matter. Now, if we just hide this white matter, Now, if we just take a cross section, we can see the white and the gray matter very distinctly. We'll just see that in a while from now. But before that, moving on to the functions of the spinal cord. As far as the spinal cord is concerned, it relays the impulses coming from various sensory organs like the skin towards the brain. It also relays the motor impulses generated by the brain to the muscles of your trunk and the muscles of the limbs. And the spinal cord controls all the reflexes below your neck. So say, for example, you're pricked by a pin on your finger. You promptly withdraw your hand as a reflex. So this reflex is controlled by the spinal cord. Or maybe say if you are tapped below your knee, then you immediately stretch your leg. That also is a reflex that is controlled by your spinal cord. So spinal cord basically controls all the reflexes below the neck. The reflexes of the organs located in the head region are all controlled by the brain. The reflexes of the rest of the organs present below the neck are all regulated or controlled by the spinal cord. So now what you see here highlighted is the white matter of the spinal cord. So the outer region is consisting of white matter. And when I hide this, and when we just look up and have a look at this cross section here now. So in this cross section, you can clearly see the outer region is the white matter, what is highlighted in green currently. And the inner region is the gray matter. And if I just zoom in a little bit more, in the center of that gray matter, you can see this small neural canal. So this central canal, this is the central canal, not the neural canal, it's the central canal of the spinal cord. Now, this central canal is basically in continuity with the ventricles or the cavities of the brain, and it is also filled with the cerebrospinal fluid. So I repeat, this is the gray matter that is present on the inside, roughly H-shaped, having two horns, the dorsal horn and the ventral horn. And here you have the white matter that is present on the outside. So that, my dear friends, is the structure and the function of the spinal cord. So we end this session, this video. I will end this video or the session here. And for the remaining part of the nervous system, I'll soon be uploading a new video. So thank you, everyone, and have a nice day.